Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Okay, so chanting these 16 rounds. It's like I'm nobody. I'm a insignificant it's like a little ant, You see these little communities of ants, everybody's working really hard and doing their part. I'm smaller than an ant in the scope of things. So insignificant. It's ridiculous. But somehow or other, I've come in contact with a representative of the Supreme Being, and I'm appreciating his preaching. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol Madhu. Hare Krishna. And I ended up promising that I would chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulative principles and do whatever service I could. And try to surrender to help him in his preaching mission. So I'm working on the 16 rounds. And 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, fish or eggs, no intoxicants, not even coffee or tea, no sex outside of marriage for procreating a child, and no gambling, and no speculating on philosophy or teachings or just surrender. Hare Krishna. Simple, huh? It kind of reminds me of when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before Bali Maharaj as a Brahmin, a dwarf Brahmin, somebody in a dwarf body but was a Brahmin. And the duties of the king are to give charity to Brahmins. So when Krishna appeared as Vamanadev, sometimes called Upendra, before Bali Maharaj in that form of a Brahmin, dwarf Brahmin, Bali Maharaj had a spiritual master named Sukracharya. He wasn't necessarily the type of spiritual master that could deliver his disciple, but he was well versed in the Vedas, and he knew how to advise the king and others for elevation to higher planets like that. But he wasn't necessarily devoted to God, per se. So when the Sukracharya, and he was supported by the king paid for everything and kept him, was his meal ticket. King was his meal ticket. So when Vamanadev appeared, Krishna appeared, Vamanadev appeared before Bali Maharaj, Sukracharya, he actually understood, oh no, this is the Supreme Lord. He's going to take everything away, because that's what he does sometimes. He takes everything. He's going to claim everything. I'm going to lose my job. what will happen to me? I'm going to lose my job. If the king surrenders, then I won't have any job. So he advised Pali Maharaj, don't surrender to him. No, don't. No, don't. You don't know. Don't give anything to this one. But Pali Maharaj intuitively understood, I have to surrender to this personality. He was spontaneously attracted to Krishna in the form of a Brahmin, little Brahmin. So what did Vamanadeva ask? What did Krishna ask? Very simple. Just, all I want is 3 steps of land, please. Can you give me 3 steps of land? Let me pace off 3 steps of land and claim them as my own. Bali Maharaj, yes. So at the first step, he covered all the planets lower than the planet they were standing on in the whole universe with 1 step. With 1 foot, he covered all the lower planets. So half the universe, he claimed half the universe. And then, with his other step, it's 3 paces of land, he covered all the upper planets in the entire universe. And his toe even poked through the covering of the universe. And I believe that's when the Ganges started flowing through. So, you said 3 steps. Where shall I place the 3rd step? Well, you'd just taken the whole universe, upper, lower, everything was gone. He had claimed it. This is, where do I put the 3rd step? Holy Maharaj, put on my head. Put on my head. 3rd step right here. So it was a simple thing he asked. 3 steps to land. Big deal, right? I mean, he could have asked, I want 100,000 cows, or I want a mound of gold, or could have asked for anything. There's 3 steps to land. So, my spiritual master has asked for something very simple. Just 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and follow 4 regulative principles. That's not hard. No big deal. It's like those 3 steps of land. Krishna, it takes everything. Krishna. All right, so I'm off to a late start. My schedule's a little funny lately. For association, I've been staying up late because of different time zones. It's the morning for someone and the afternoon for someone else, and for me it's late at night. So my schedule's a little weird. So I have 1 round done, and I was thinking, in between rounds, if I were to chant a little something that helped me stay focused, and read a little something. So I've been reading from Bhagavad Gita, the introduction. Hare Krishna. And we know, because we were reading the last few days about Prabhupada's struggles to get this Bhagavad Gita into print and distributed, and yes. So this is what he was struggling to get into print and distributed widely. The subject of the Bhagavad Gita entails comprehension of 5 basic truths. First of all, the science of God is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, the jivas. There is Ishvara, which means controller, and there are jivas, the living entities which are controlled. If a living entity says he's not controlled, but he's free, he's insane. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in his conditioned life. So in Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, and the jivas, the controlled living entities. Prakriti, material nature, and time, the duration of existence of the whole universe or the manifestation of material nature, and karma, activity, are also discussed. The cosmic manifestation is full of different activities. All living entities are engaged in different activities. From Bhagavad Gita, we must learn what God is, what the living entities are, what Prakriti is, what the cosmic manifestation is, and how it is controlled by time, and what the activities of the living entities are. So that's what's discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Out of these 5 basic subject matters in Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are, in quality, like the Supreme Controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs, over material nature, etc., as will be explained in later chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Prakriti is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there's a controller. Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child may think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or other animal pulling it. But a sane man knows the nature of the automobile's engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there's a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is a driver under whose direction everything is working. Now the jivas, or the living entities, have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in later chapters, as his parts and parcels. A particle of gold is also gold. A drop of water from the ocean is also salty. And similarly, we, the living entities, being part and parcel of the Supreme Controller, Ishvara, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity, because we are minute Ishvaras, subordinate Ishvaras. We're trying to control nature, as presently we're trying to control space or planets, and this tendency to control is there because it's in Krishna. But although we have a tendency to lord it over material nature, we should know that we are not the Supreme Controller. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.